After the preparation explained in the previous video, a reduced game will be shown as an example. Two roommates argue because neither of them wants to take their dog for a walk, so they decide to solve their argument through a chaos battle. Desire of both, whoever loses must take Firulais for a walk. Each player takes the first 3 cards from the team area to add them to their reserve. Next, they decide who will start having the initiative. After a roll with the power dice, the player 1 gets the highest score, so he will have the initiative. Planning. Since neither player has a fighter in the combat area, both will place their first fighter face down in the combat area. Both players add a team fighter to their reserve again. They must always have 3 fighters in their reserve. The player 1 reveals Plague Doctor. The ability is read out loud. The player 2 does the same with Golden Samurai. Since the Golden Samurai element, Earth, predominates over the Plague Doctor element, Air, a +1 bonus is awarded to the first. Seeing this, player 1 decides to perform a power sacrifice to compensate for the weakness of Plague Doctor's element. To do this, he destroys with a partner in the team area by sending it directly to the cemetery. A +2 bonus is given to Plague Doctor. Pre-fight. Both players decide to eliminate their opponent's ability using a glare point. This is placed on top of the rival. A specialty. The player 1, who has the initiative, rolls a specialty dice. The result is a strength. Seeing that in this specialty his fighter is inferior to the rival, the player 1 decides to repeat the roll. In the second attempt, he has obtained agility. Plague Doctor has 5, 3 + 2, while Golden Samurai has 3, 2 + 1. Fight. Each player rolls his power dice. Plague Doctor 5 and Golden Samurai 2. The power value obtained is added to the specialty value to obtain the total combat value. Plague Doctor combat value 10. Golden Samurai combat value 5. Plague Doctor defeats Golden Samurai. Post-fight, nothing. Final. Golden Samurai is sent to the cemetery. The board is cleaned. The glare points used will be eliminated and the bonuses added to fighters remaining in the combat zone will be removed. The initiative changes to player 2. Planning. The player 2, from among the fighters in reserve, decides to use Chaos Shield. His ability is red. Reserve completed. In this case, neither of the fighters prevail over the other because of the element, so no bonuses are applied. None of the players make any kind of sacrifice. Pre-fight. Player 2 annuls Plague Doctor's ability again, using up another glare point. A specialty. Player 2, who now has the initiative, rolls the specialty dice. The result is strength. Observing the specialty in both fighters, he decides not to repeat. Chaos Shield has 4, Plague Doctor 2. Fight. Each player rolls their power dice. Chaos Shield 3 and Plague Doctor 3. By adding it to the specialty value, Plague Doctor is defeated by Chaos Shield. Post-fight, nothing. Final. Plague Doctor is sent to the cemetery. The board is cleared and the player's initiative is changed. Planning. Player 1 sees the opportunity to take advantage of the favorable element of Submarine Queen, so that this is the fighter that he places in the combat area. His ability is red. Reserve completed. Submarine Queen gets +1 bonus per element. Player 1 decides to keep it to make his fighter more powerful and thus force his opponent to use up a glare point. Pre-fight. Player 2 effectively annuls the Submarine Queen's ability, using up his last glare point. Player 1 also decides to annul KAOS Shield's ability to avoid unpleasant surprises. A specialty. Player 1 rolls the specialty dice, getting K of KAOS. This value allows to choose the desired specialty. Vitality. KAOS Shield has 1. Submarine Queen 4. 3 + 1. Combat. Each player rolls their power dice. KAOS Shield 1, while Submarine Queen 5. When adding it to the specialty value, Submarine Queen defeats KAOS Shield. Post-fight. If KAOS Shield's ability hadn't been annulled, Submarine Queen will be destroyed now. Player 1 was right to use up his glare point. End. KAOS Shield is sent to the cemetery. The board is cleared and the player initiative is changed. Planning. Player 2 has in its reserve a fighter with a favorable element over Submarine Queen, and also an adequate ability for this moment. Unfair Purple is placed in the combat zone. The skill is red. The reserve cannot be completed. Unfair Purple gets +1 bonus per element. In this case, player 2 decides to make a sacrifice for life, since it only has 2 fighters left and the conditions are met, having bonuses, and player 1 doesn't have in its reserve any fighter of the same type as the one who wants to resuscitate player 2 as stealthy. In this way, the unfair purple bonus is removed and KAOS Shield is sent back to the team. There are fighters in the player 2 team again, so resolve completed. Pre-fight. Player 1 decides to reserve his glare point. A specialty. The fight will be solved in this phase by Submarine Queen's ability. The player 2, who has the initiative, rolls the specialty dice, obtaining precision. This value will be useful since in the case of a tie, the fighter with a favorable element will win. That's why he decided not to repeat the roll. As just said, both tie for a specialty value and the item decides the fight. Unfair Purple defeats Submarine Queen. Fight nothing. Post-fight, the Unfair Purple ability is executed. Player 2 can decide between destroying a rival fighter from player 1's reserve. Seeing that player 1 still has a Titan fighter in his reserve, he decides to destroy it. Water Sentinel is sent to the cemetery. End. Submarine Queen is sent to the cemetery. The board is cleared and player 1 has now the initiative. Planning. Player 1 places the last remaining fighter of his reserve in the combat area, hoping to take advantage of his ability to balance the fight again. All Necromancer. The ability is red. All Necromancer gets +1 bonus per element. The player 1 decides to keep it to make his fighter more powerful, because with his ability he will be able to bring back to life 2 teammates from the cemetery. Meanwhile, the player 2 sees the move from player 2 coming and decides to make a sacrifice for energy, destroying the 2 fighters in his reserve to obtain a glare point that he will use in the next phase. This move will be decisive. He knows that all Necromancer has higher specialty values than Unfair Purple, but he decided to take the risk rather than allowing player 1 to bring back to life Submarine Queen and Water Sentinel. Pre-fight. Both players decide to eliminate the ability of their opponent, using up their last glare points. A specialty. Player 1 rolls the specialty dice, getting K from KAOS. Luck seems to be on player 1's side. He does not repeat a roll and chooses the resistance specialty. In this way, all Necromancer gets 3, 2 plus 1, in his specialty value, while Unfair Purple only 1. Fight. Each player rolls his power dice. All Necromancer achieves a power value of 1, Unfair Purple 4. All Necromancer's fight value is inferior to Unfair Purple's due to 1 unit, making him the loser of the fight. Post-fight. Unfair Purple has its ability annulled, so his ability is not carried out. Final. All Necromancer is sent to the cemetery. The board is cleaned. Player 2 wins the KAOS battle. Player 1 must acknowledge his defeat and accept the wish of the first. In this case, it must be him who takes Fearless for a walk.